Well, there he is. His destiny lurking right around the corner. He's been down this road many times. The ninth inning has been his jinx inning.
And there goes another no-hit pitch for Dave Stieb.
I don't believe it. He's got to be sick deep down.
Bud Black is back after stiffness in his elbow to get a start against Mookie Wilson, DHing but still leading off. Tony Fernandez playing shortstop. Kelly Gruber's at third. McGriff, after a great night, cleans up. Bell's still missing from the lineup. Borders catching. Glenn Allen Hill for Bell in left field. Williams takes Mookie's spot in center while Manny Lee plays second base and Junior Felix stays in right.
The defense for the Cleveland Indians, let's go from left to right. Deion James is in left field. Alex Cole, the center fielder. Corey Snyder plays right. Around the infield, veteran Tom Brookins plays third base. Carlos Baerga is the shortstop. Jerry Brown at second. Brooke Jacoby at first base. On the mound, as you mentioned, Bud Black, and behind the plate is Joel Skinner.
Joel Skinner, you're catching Bud Black today. He has always had such great success against Toronto. 11-4 lifetime. Why, in your opinion?
He's a true left-handed pitcher. He's not a thrower. He's not going to try and overpower too many hitters. And Toronto's always been a good fastball hitting ball club, and they're aggressive at the plate. And it's just a matter of Bud goes out and pitches his game. And he could have done that with other teams, and it might not have been the same. It's just a matter of coincidence, I guess. But he just goes out and pitches his ball game and tries to go with his strengths as much as possible. And from there, he just moves the ball around. He really doesn't try and trick anybody. He just doesn't. He doesn't try and throw the same pitch too many times, and keeps the ball out of the middle of the plate.
Rookie Mookie Wilson, a 1-1 count. He's told you before the game, Tom, he's not quite sure how he's going to go today, having missed action since the 20th of August.
That's right. In talking about Bud Black, listening to Joel Skinner, all that is very well to do if you're in a regular rotation, but it's been a while, about 12 days since his last start.
He left that game in the third inning with the tightness in the left elbow against Milwaukee. Here's the menu for today. The first Sunday night game ever at Fenway Park takes place tonight. The Red Sox hosting the Yankees. Boston looking for a 10th consecutive win. Toronto's next opponent, Detroit at Minnesota. And overhead, the planes roar by. The weekend air show here in Cleveland. The lakefront airport right next to Cleveland Stadium.
So this should make Mookie Wilson feel very comfortable. He's thinking he's at Shea Stadium.
Which the Blue Jays are flying half that high. Well, sound reasoning on the part of Cito Gaston to DH Mookie. It's sort of a half day off for him in terms of fielding responsibilities. Williams certainly capable in center field. I suspect you might see more of this as the month goes on. He strikes him out. So a good return for Buddy Black as he fans the first hitter to face him in 12 days.
That's one of the many pitches that Buddy Black can throw. Just a little fastball that sinks away, and he had Mookie pulling off the pitch. And we talked earlier about Mookie Wilson, his inspirational ability to get the club going and keep the club going. That's why Cito Gaston needs him in the lineup.
You see how tough Black's been against the Blue Jays lifetime. Won his only start this year against them. He shut them out for 8 innings, 3-0 here in Cleveland. And at that time struck out a season high 7. And Fernandez knows how effective Black can be. Oh for 9, or 9 for 51 with no home runs is Tony Fernandez against Buddy Black. Tommy Craig, the Blue Jays trainer, to keep the players cool. Humidity is the problem. 74 degrees at game time is the temperature, which is all not that hot down at the lake, but down at field level it's very warm. Pitches away. It's 2-2 to Tony.
Bud Black is the type of pitcher that's comfortable for a catcher to get behind the plate and call the game, especially when he's on his control. You can see Skinner moving back and forth from inside and outside to where he wants the pitches, and that's where Black goes. One will go inside, then he moves outside.
Well, he came up last year with that cut fastball that breaks in on right-handed hitters and jams them. So now he's a 5-pitch pitcher. Fastball, slider, curveball, cutter, and change. Throws them all pretty well for strikes. That's fouled away. Holding on the full count is Fernandez.
I'll tell you another thing that Bud Black has in his favor. With his season this year being a pretty steady season, he was also one of the steadiest starters for Cleveland last year. He'll be a free agent, and he's left-handed. So he's a premium left-handed free agent starting pitcher.
If there's a tree that grows that type of pitcher, I haven't found it.
So far, Joel Skinner has had a couple of shots here in the first inning, right off that mask. That's why they tell catchers, don't turn that head. Keep it squared out and let the ball hit the mask.
We were talking last night, you and I, watching the game, about how even to warm up between innings, they make catchers wear masks now. There's no hitter in the batter's box, but there's still a chance for injury.
Especially when you have to go out and warm up Tom Candiotti, which is what Skinner did last night, not being in the starting lineup. Candiotti with that knuckleball, he made sure he at least took the mask out there between innings.
I need an armored suit. At least Fernandez is making Black throw some pitches. He's fouled off 4 now on this 3-2 count. Another foul ball. This one a little longer, more menacing, into the Indians dugout or bullpen down there.
Battle a pitcher this much, especially early in the ball game, and Black having not started since August 20th, he's throwing a lot of pitches, and that could tell later on in the game. And I'm sure John McNamara and Mark Wiley, the pitching coach with Cleveland, they're going to watch him closely as to the number of pitches he throws.
Battle continues. You saw a moment ago, you're getting full value here by the lakefront today. Ball game and air show, 2 for the price of 1.
Black may reach that quota against Tony Fernandez.
Yes. Well, if it's work he needs coming back from a 12-day absence, he is getting it. Fernandez taking care of that. Driven to left, and it's a base hit, bouncing to the feet of Dion James. A 1-out single for Fernandez.
Can't say enough about those types of at-bats. Pretty good pitch. Black with the fastball down and in. He was just trying to continue with fastballs, not to walk Tony. But Tony battled and fouled some pitches off that were up, pitches that were good pitches for Black. Finally got one in his hitting zone and picked up the base hit.
Kelly Gruber now finally showing signs last night of ending his long drought. He had a double and a home run as the Jays won game 2 in this series, 8-0. That's ball 1. This all after Kelly in the previous 10 games had gone at a .079 clip. He loves the Indians. He's hit 5 home runs off Cleveland pitching this season.
Sometimes it takes that to come out of a slump, go up against a ball club that you've had good success against. And for the most part, I talked with Gene Tennis about Kelly Gruber. Most of it was mental.
That'll be out of play. And yet you and I watched him in the previous 2 at-bats before the double and home run last night. Frankly, he looked brutal. He was swinging badly.
Yeah, he did. The shoulder pulled off. But see Gino right there saying keep the front side in. But I think the fact that Kelly had the double and the home run last night, mentally, that's certainly going to get him on the right track.
Oh, absolutely. He was really dejected as he would go out the first couple of times and throw his bat down in disgust running to first base. Fernandez with his lead. Brooke Jacoby, a new career over at first base. He has been there 8 times now the last couple of weeks for Cleveland, the veteran third baseman. Brookins over at third, the ex-Tiger and Yankee.
A little different look for the Indians in this afternoon ball game. They've rested a few players. John McNamara decided, because they've lost 6 in a row here on this homestand, to shake things up and get some of the bench players in.
It's almost as though he said, you guys can't hit. I'm going to empty the bench. Use everybody else instead. 3 balls and a strike to Gruber. John McNamara had a tough season, a promising beginning. The Indians threatened for a while, but really have fallen off. And Gruber overall has had a magnificent season despite his second half slump. Second in RBIs at Conseco. There goes Fernandez. Pitch is high. He'll be there anyway. And the base on ball. Here's Fred McGriff next.
Fred McGriff, a career high for you. 5 hits in last night's ball game.
Yeah, Ferg swinging the bat real well right now. This whole year it's been like an uphill battle. I got off to a slow start and I've just been trying to battle from there. But last night I seen the ball well, and Candiotti has a real good knuckleball, but I was able to stay back and just hit it hard somewhere. And my last at bat was my best at bat because I hit that home run.
And a lot of times you don't even get 5 at-bats in a ball game because you lead the club in walks.
Yeah, it's real tough because usually, like you say, I'm usually getting 1 or 2 walks a game. So to get 5 at-bats was real surprising for me.
Now, this native of Tampa, many friends and relatives looking in today on Channel 32 in Tampa, Lakeland. Here's the play at second base. Just back in time is Fernandez.
That was the reverse turn. A lot of pitchers turn the other way, left-handers, when they go to second base. Bud Black with the quick turn almost nailed Tony in second.
Obviously, the 5 for 5, a career best for one game for McGriff, ties the Blue Jays record for hits in a game. That is a strike. 0-1 to him. Speaking of scoring, the Jays now 27 runs the last 3 ball games. That is more than they've scored in the previous 10 games against Minnesota, the Yankees, Boston, and Milwaukee. It is a feast or a famine for this team. Strike 2, a big cut by McGriff.
Yeah, it's been a crazy year, and that's where you run into problems when you have those streaks. You like to keep it steady, and Fred talked about earlier in the year struggling, but with those 29 home runs, you see where he ranks, and only Ricky Henderson ahead in the on-base percentage.
It's tight. 1-2.
You know, as players are, though, Freddie standing around the batting cage prior to the ball game, getting ready to take some swings in BP. You know what he was talking about? His stolen base last night. Had 5 hits, had a home run, but he was talking about his 5th stolen base of the year.
That was the icing on his cake. Up into center field, Alex Cole is there. Back to tag is Fernandez. He'll show a little stutter step and get back to second base. 2 gone.
Tell you, the fans here at Cleveland are very excited about Alex Cole, and I think he demonstrated right there that he can do more than just run and steal bases. He has a strong arm. He got rid of that ball quickly. Tony was thinking about maybe going to third, but maybe just a bluff to get a look at Alex Cole's arm, and you can see he came up in the Cardinal organization, went over to the Padres, and there's that strong arm. Demonstrated 19 assists in '88.
They don't think he'll hit much for power, but for average he has here at 333. You're looking at the catcher Pat Borders having a career season. He's 14 home runs and 293 average. Hitting with 2 out and 2 on here in the Blue Jay first inning, looking for a sweep in Cleveland. One and one.
With the Red Sox playing that night game tonight, as you mentioned, the first night game ever at Fenway Park. They're playing the New York Yankees. The Blue Jays need to win this game just to send their message, be it maybe a slight message to Boston that they're still in this race.
Air ball boy, third base side. Boston, meantime, sending a message right back to the Blue Jays. We don't expect to lose. Is that a ball girl down there? I glanced too quickly. My apologies. James down the line takes the fly ball from Borders to end the inning. Jays get a base hit and a walk, but nothing more from Buddy Black. And you're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on CTV. Dave Stieb still searching for that elusive 17th win, goes for it today against this Cleveland lineup. The speed of Alex Cole off the top. Jerry Brown right behind him. Deion James in left field. DHing today Ken Phelps. Told you they've changed the lineup drastically, although Jacoby stays at first base. Carlos Baerga goes to shortstop. Corey Snyder's in right, but Tom Brookins plays third, and catching in place of Alomar is Joel Skinner.
Let's look at the defense for the Jays. Probably the speediest of outfields. Glenn Allen Hill in left, Ken Williams in center, Junior Felix the right fielder, Gruber and Fernandez on the left side, Manny Lee at second base, Fred McGriff behind the as at first. Pat Borders will catch, and looking for that 17th win is Dave Stieb.
Galen Cisco, Dave Stieb is coming off a loss against Milwaukee. What did he do wrong in that game?
Well, actually, the game wasn't that bad. He left the game after 7 innings, losing 4-2. I think that, you know, coming off the game against Boston, which he had great stuff, I don't think his breaking ball was quite as sharp as it was against the Boston Ball Club. And I think he really needs to keep the breaking ball down a little bit better, locate a little better away from right-handers and in on left-handers.
Well, Stieb lost his last game start 6-2 against Milwaukee August the 28th. That was his previous bid for a 17th win. And he struck out 90, walked 50. He's having a whale of a season. 20 wins certainly in line for him.
A little adjustment with the rosin bag. They've had to put it behind the rubber. It was even with the pitching rubber.
Stieb is 3-3 in this ballpark over his career. He has had 5 no decisions, many of the heartbreaking variety from Blue Jay bullpens of bygone days, losing leads he had built.
The thing that Stieb is really concentrating on today, talked to him about it in the clubhouse prior to the game, is his release point. He said he's been laying the ball out a little bit too far, not getting on top. When he does that, he doesn't get the movement that he wants on the fastball, and he gets more of a roll on the breaking ball instead of the sharp biter.
Pitches outside to Cole, who at the major league level has learned how to steal bases more successfully. Also learned how to hit. 1990 with Las Vegas AAA. With Colorado Springs, he barely was safe on 2 out of 4. I mean, 50% success rate. Here he's 23-4, and he's on base for Jerry Brown.
Well, the Indians get what they want. They get the speedy Alex Cole at first, and Dave Stieb certainly didn't want to start the game by walking Cole.
O'Brien, the only player left from that. O'Brien, McDowell, Julio Franco deal. Left here in Cleveland, that is. Let's get some speed too. Brown is the Indians' leadoff hitter when Cole is not in the lineup against left-handed pitching.
Jerry Brown's going to try to be patient here because he wants to make Dave Stieb work. He's just walked the leadoff man. He hadn't shown real good control. They'd be surprised too if Cole takes off. Now he could, but when a pitcher's struggling, if you take off, all of a sudden the catcher nails you at second base, the momentum changes. But with Cole's ratio, he's had pretty good success rate. He may go anyway.
Steve's throw made it close.
Tell you what, he's leaning and taking a little jump, and Stieb almost caught him in between. Dave has that quick move. That was close.
Not so sure he didn't have it.
Like Fred might have got him right on the wrist.
Cole stole 5 in 1 game shortly after being called up by the Indians.
He shortened up his lead after almost being picked off. And in his own mind, he may be saying, I was picked off. He shortened things up.
Good arm, great speed. And the 5 stolen bases we talked about came against the Kansas City Royals. He stole third twice in that game.
First base umpire Jim Evans almost rang Cole up. He started to move his right arm. See if you can see his motion.
He should have rung him up.
See him? He starts to move back with the right arm and then gave the safe call. So a little indecision on Jim Evans's part.
This is the same crew that was so maddening for fans watching the Red Sox and Blue Jays, with some pretty inconsistent calls both ways last weekend at the Skydome.
Tell you what, this is probably the best right-handed move that Alex Cole has seen. And the key for Dave Stieb, Dave has quick action with his feet. He's able to turn and get something on the throw over to first.
Inside, it's 2-0. Order set to throw, and it popped out of his hand instead.
Alex Cole had a pretty good teacher, though, when he was coming up in the Cardinals organization. There was a time where the Cardinals had hoped to have Vince Coleman, Willie McGee, and Alex Cole in their outfield. Well, he said Vince Coleman used to talk to him about stealing bases. And Coleman, I think most people know at this point, leads the National League with 77 steals.
Well, the 23 that Cole has taken him 35 games to do what Mookie Wilson has taken all season to do. There he goes. Should have him. Yes. Good throw by Borders. Steve not that easy to steal off, as young Cole just discovered.
And I think some people might say, why do you keep throwing over and over to first base? That's why. He may have gotten that hand in there, though. The reason being, we saw Cole shorten his lead a little bit because Dave Stieb almost got him at first base. Because he had to shorten it up, it was just enough to allow Pat Borders to get a good strong throw on and get him at second base.
Now finally, he can get back to his hitter, Brown. Count is 2-2 now.
And this is how things can change around, what I mentioned before. Here Dave Stieb struggled with control. Now all of a sudden there's one out. He's back with a strike, and he has the count even to Jerry Brown.
Because having walked Cole, and with the speed threatening at first base, he had no chance to find a groove and get the strike zone back against his hitter Brown. Now he can. High in the strike zone, it's a pop-up for Kelly Gruber. He'll give way to Fred McGriff, third base over to first base, either side of the mound.
Dave out there trying to direct a little traffic. He had the entire infield converging on the mound area. Looked around. I think he first called for Kelly Gruber, and then Kelly gave way to Fred McGriff. Look at the infield. Everybody but Tony Fernandez. And then Dave pulls away to allow McGriff. And you see Pat Borders peel off. Pat saw first base vacant, decided he better get over there just in case the ball's dropped.
It's Dion James up next. They got him from Atlanta for Odom McDowell, and James has hit Dave Stieb as well as any American League pitcher. He's hitting .279 overall, but against Stieb, he's gone .368, 7 for 19. 2-0. Indians will use James in the second and third spot. He's hitting third today. Little check swing. Fernandez will charge the ball and get him. That'll do it. One complete in Cleveland. Steve gets out of a little mini problem. Scoreless after one on Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on CTV.
Glenn Allen Hill, even though you're getting your base hits, you seem to be a little frustrated. I notice you're always going over talking to Tennis after every at bat.
Well, yeah, he's a great batting coach, and you know, like right now I'm really frustrated, and I'm not happy with the way I'm swinging. And after every at bat, he kind of tells me what I do wrong, and so the next time I try to make an adjustment.
This is the 7th game in a row that he has started. 5 in left field, 2 as a DH in place of George Bell, whose eye problem lingers on. It really hasn't improved a great deal. He's still blurry in that eye with water behind the retina. And Hill, the more at bats and the more play he gets, just improves every day.
Yeah, this should be a great learning experience right now for Glenn Allen, getting the opportunity to get those at bats and then talk a little bit with Gene Tennis. You saw that Gino's never idle on the bench, always with a bat talking to some hitter.
Takes it outside, 2-1. It'll be Hill, Ken Williams, the center fielder, and Manny Lee here in the Blue Jays second. Two and two.
That's where a batting coach almost has to be a psychology major, because to some part it is physical, but there's a lot of mental involvement with hitting and being successful in hitting. So a lot of times Gino just talks to the hitters, tries to get their head back in the game and get them going in the right way that way.
Hill is 1 for 6 in his brief run against Buddy Black lifetime. Chicago White Sox still trailing Oakland, hoping they can make up the difference. 5.5 games in September in Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Skydome. Latter 2 games on CTV.
But Bobby Thigpen of the White Sox picked up his 46th save last night. That ties the Major League record set by Dave Righetti.
He has enough time to shatter it with a month left.
Should be over 50.
Holding on the full count is Hill. This will be the largest crowd in quite a while here, I would think. Certainly the largest crowd this weekend, and probably 40 to 50% are Blue Jay fans. They have come here in great numbers for the weekend series of the Labor Day holiday. Glenn Allen Hill gets punched out. That's the second strikeout for Bud Black.
Good pitch to hit right there for Glenn Allen. A fastball by Black. Glenn Allen will go back and he'll tell Gene Tennis, I'd like to see a few more of those pitches. That was a good one.
Next up, Kenny Williams. He was ejected for what apparently was a very mild comment to Dale Ford, mild by standards, in the second inning of Friday night's game.
And you know, according to the way Dale Ford is positioned as the second base umpire, he's trying to stay as far away from Kenny Williams as possible. Look at him. He's in shallow center field.
You can get a better shot of the air show from there. One ball and 2 strikes to Williams, hitting just 150. 180 is a Blue Jay. 2-2. He's going back to face his former teammates, the Tigers. Jays will go by bus over the 3 hours of interstate into Detroit tonight. Unusual trip for them. Start that series tomorrow afternoon. Stroke to center. Cole, with his speed, gets to it easily on the run for the second out. Next up is Manny Lee. Remind you that tonight, when a loving family and successful career were no longer enough, 32-year-old Richard Moore started searching for love in all the wrong places. Tommy will sing the theme song for you later. It's Separate Vacation, CTV's Sunday movie tonight. Strike one to Manny Lee. Hopefully Tommy will sing that much later after we're off the air. 0-2.
But Black has a special interest, I'm sure, watching in from Edmonton. He has an aunt and uncle who live out in Edmonton. So be sure to say hello.
Yeah, he's got a Canadian connection. He's got a hockey connection too. His father played on the Pacific Coast Hockey League, led the league in scoring, 1945-46. Harry Black.
That's right. You're actually looking at Harry Ralston Black Jr., not Bud Black.
Got fouled by Manny Lee. Well, he was a real steal. The Tribe got him from Kansas City from Pat Tabler, who since has moved along from the Royals as well. That was on June 3rd of '89. He's pitched very well for them. Two and two now. And that's an interesting view of Cleveland walking up there in the wing.
Wonder who sold him that ticket to the game.
Standing room only. Just in the second inning, all those foul balls taking a toll on Black. This is 50th pitch, and he misses with 3-2 to lead.
Yeah, you can really tell by watching Bud Black. He's throwing free and easy, but his control just isn't where it normally is. He's working in and out, but he's missing in and out. A lot of full counts, and as you mentioned, a lot of pitches.
Roddy induces Lee to pop up into shallow right field. Jerry Brown is back there. He makes the catch, and the Blue Jays are retired in order in the second. Still scoreless in Cleveland, the wind-up game of the weekend. The Blue Jays and the Tribe on Labatt's Blue Jays Baseball on CTV. Somehow this guy is still attached to the wing of that aircraft as it does the loops over Lake Erie.
I think pitching against major league hitters is tough.
Oh, it's a tough way to come in from the bullpen, isn't it?
Now, I've had some rough flights this year.
Not quite that rough. I wouldn't want to be standing there with a brand new pair of shoes with the shiny soles on the top of that wing. No score. Jays have the only hit of the afternoon. Of course, the CLE Air Show is also on across Lake Ontario, Toronto's lakefront this afternoon. It's a different lineup with Ken Phelps getting a chance. The much-traveled Ken Phelps, Brooke Jacoby, and Carlos Baerga is playing shortstop today, a switch hitter. Stieb walked Cole to start the game. They got him trying to steal, and then Brown popped up and James grounded out. That's ball one to Phelps.
Phelps has really been a disappointment. When the Indians acquired him, it was at a time when they weren't sure what Keith Hernandez's situation was, how much he'd be able to play. And he's had 55 at-bats since being a Cleveland Indian. He doesn't have an extra base hit or an RBI.
And they parked him on the bench until today. He hasn't played since August 24th when he came into the game as a defensive replacement in the 9th inning. It's his first start since July 29th against the Yankees, his former team. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Phelps. Sure, the game isn't that dull. Just following the Oakland A's story a little more closely than the Blue Jays and Indians today.
Yeah, reading about the projected team payroll of the Oakland A's if they go ahead and re-sign Willie McGee and Harold Baines, somewhere in the $30 to $40 million range next year.
Popped up for Tony Fernandez. Phelps the first out of the inning. Yeah, these three accused Steinbrenner trying to buy a championship team. Probably 20,000 plus here this afternoon in Cleveland. The CTV telecast presented by authority of the Toronto Blue Jays Baseball Club may not be rebroadcast in any form without the express written consent of the Toronto Blue Jays. This is Brooke Jacoby.
You know, you talk about those salaries, and when you look at it, Chevy and Tommy, 30 to 40 million. How can a place like Cleveland compete with Oakland or Seattle?
Exactly, or Kansas City. Well, they have enough high-priced free agents of their own. Fairly shallow left field, the fly ball taken by Glenn Allen Hill. I mean, the television money, which is very good now, the agreements they have in Major League Baseball, will take you just so far. But here, a lot of empty seats, and this is a good crowd by Cleveland standards today.
That's the way it always appears here at this stadium, because it holds a little over 80,000. And when they get a crowd of 20, 25,000, it still has the appearance of being almost empty.
They'll be filled to capacity a week from today when the Steelers come in to play the Browns. Football, a much different story in this city. Yet plans are going ahead. The referendum has passed to build a new facility in downtown Cleveland. This is Carlos Baerga. Came over in the deal for Joe Carter on Sandy Alomar. He spent much of the year in the minor leagues, recalled about a month ago, and has played very well.
Yeah, I think the time in the minor leagues was well spent by Baerga. He came up, didn't do too well his first few appearances with Cleveland, and when they sent him down, he got a chance to play everyday basis. Now since he's come back, he's hit a lot better. He was one of the keys in that deal. They wanted him included.
Good young player. He's hit a 339 clip since coming back. He's only 21 years of age. Puerto Rico. Chris James also part of that deal.
You know, when you think about it, think of the talented young players the Indians received. Chris James, Baerga, Alomar. One of those that you can say work well for both clubs. Joe Carter is certainly doing the job for San Diego. Almost has another 100 RBI season. He'll get that the next day or so. But the Indians picked up 3 players who can all be in their lineup and contribute.
It's like the deal for Franco when they gave him to Texas a couple of years ago. They got 3 starters out of that. So they made some shrewd deals here. And yet this team can't win. While the Blue Jays worry about the Red Sox, the fans here in the media, as Baerga takes the walk, worry about whether the Yankees won or lost because of the bottom of the standings. Cleveland is challenging the Yankees for last place.
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago the Yankees had a lot on that last place finish, but not so now.
Just 3 games apart, the 6th place Indians.
I think Dave right there is just upset. Number 1 with 2 outs, nobody on base, walking by Arrega instead of trying to get a quick inning out of the way. And not too sure how he felt about the feel of the baseball. Home plate umpire Drew Coble went out there. They went back and forth, but he finally handed him the ball that he used prior to that.
He is steaming and storming on the mound as he is wont to do. Arrega at first base, as you say, the 2nd walk Steve was issued for Corey Snyder. Snyder in a horrendous. He got a double Friday night, his first extra base hit since August the 14th.
A couple of times after that pitch, Dave motioning without throwing the ball with his arm to get on top. He still hasn't found that groove that he likes to find. I asked him if in the past if that was something that catchers would remind him of. He said really not. He said he tries to remember himself. He hopes that Galen Cisco reminds him when he gets in on the bench. Sometimes that's too late though.
Good pitch there to go 1-2.
That's where I think with Pat Borders and Greg Myers, as they get more experience, you're going to have to take charge a little bit more back behind the plate. Go out and tell Dave Stieb when he's not getting on top.
Play at second base. He's gone. The throw is high, but they still nailed by Arrega. The 2nd Indian to be caught stealing after getting a walk from Steve.
2nd time that Pat Borders has uncorked a good throw. A little bit high, but it was in time. He had something on it.
So the Tribe is gone here in the home 2nd in Cleveland, and the game remains scoreless in Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on CTV. Well, the only Blue Jay not to appear at the plate until now, Junior Felix, will start the 3rd inning. Scoreless ball game. He'll be followed by the top of the order, Mookie Wilson and Tony Fernandez. Felix on Friday night hit his first home run since July the 8th, the span of 19 games, off Jesse Orosco. Big shot it was, about 420 feet, left center field.
Junior's had a good series here in Cleveland. 4 hits in 8 at bats.
He pops this one up. They will converge in shallow center field. Cole Speed gets them there comfortably. 1 out in the 3rd inning.
Watching Alex Cole on that last ball, it's really so important to have the speed in center field. The reason being, he froze on that ball, didn't pick it up right away, even took a step back. But because of his speed, he was able to regroup and charge in and make the catch.
Mookie, one of 2 strikeout victims for Buddy Black this afternoon. He fanned to start the game. Pitch misses outside. 1-1.
That's that little fastball that Black will just tantalize outside. Wants to get a little movement on it.
He pops him up. Brookins coming on from the 3rd base position to make the catch. 2 gone for Tony Fernandez.
It's a high, bright sky here. Not only do you see the sun, you may see an occasional jet go by with the air show going on.
Yeah, perfect day for the air show, but not for pulling down those high pop-ups.
But the veteran Tom Brookins, with glasses down, makes the grab.
Fernandez with the game's only hit. Single was left at second base in the 1st inning. After the strike, the eyes of umpire Drew Coble. One and one.
You know, it's funny, you get in these ball games this time of year when you're playing a ball club. Cleveland has been struggling, and as we have pointed out, they've unloaded the bench. A lot of the non-regulars playing. It's tough to play these games because these guys don't get an opportunity to get out there all that much. They're going to really go hard.
Here's Cole coming hard from center field and gets there. Again, that speed, a plus for him on that play. Robbing Fernandez of a base hit. It remains scoreless from Cleveland on Labatt's Blue Jays baseball and CTV. Not to mention 5, 6, 7, 8. What How about those Red Sox, though? They're knocking at the pennant door, but the door keeps moving further and further away.
Well, we always play that numbers game this time of year, and looking at the schedule today, prior to today's action, if the Red Sox, they have 30 games left. If they play 500, 15-15, the Jays have to go 21-8 to win that 90 games, which the Red Sox would win going 15-15.
Well, this guy's favorite team, the Indians, are not going to make it again this year. Long drought continues in Cleveland.
The thing you have to tell yourself, Chevy, as a player at this time of year, when you're in the situation the Jays are in, you have people and you read where some have written the team off already. But you have to tell yourself, all right, the Red Sox have won 9 straight. They're not going to continue to play that well, or we certainly hope they don't continue to play that well. And you have to tell yourself that you're capable of putting together a string such as that.
Corey Snyder swings to strike one. Indeed, the Blue Jays are capable, and it's worth remembering that the whole Boston franchise tradition is based on frustration. I mean, here's a team that manages to blow it in the later stages of the regular season, the championship season, even the World Series against the Mets, as they did in '86.
On the downside to that, the Red Sox have played extremely well at home this year, and they have a good majority of their ball games in September at Fenway.
They have the tough Oakland A's coming in tomorrow to start 3. They'll finish off, as we said tonight, a weekend series against the Yankees. Tom Bolton will go against Mike Witt in that one. It's hooking foul. The upper deck of huge Cleveland Stadium.
Yeah, looking at the Red Sox at home, they're 20 games over 500. 41-21. That fan never thought that he would get a souvenir with the seat that he has in this ball game today.
You contrast the Red Sox record at Fenway to the Blue Jays Sky Dome. Sky Dome has not been a comfortable home for the Jays. Comfortable, yes, but not a successful home. 34-34 is their record this year. 17-win series for Blue Jays. Well, Dave, Stieb has certainly been there before. We'd like to get there and beyond again. Snyder pushing it out of play on the right side. Hold it 2-2.
Yeah, I was talking with Galen Cisco. If you want to look ahead at Dave Stieb's rotation for the rest of the year, Galen said he should have at least 7 more starts, including today. So 6 more after today, and maybe even 1 more, depending upon the situation.
He goes like 4 for 7, 4 for 8, and wins. He'll be at the 20-win plateau finally. 3-2 to Snyder. Corey today, the number 7 hitter, John McNamara.
The Indians, I think, have to make a decision on Corey Snyder. He has tailed off over the last couple of seasons.
Strikes out here. First strikeout for Stieb today. Snyder's still got the great arm, but he does strike out far too much, and as you say, his production has really tailed off. Yeah, well over 110 strikeouts. That a good slider. And what pitchers have been doing with Corey Snyder, they go up with the fastball because he'll chase the fastball that's out of the strike zone, and then if they're right-handed and have the good slider such as Dave Stieb, they'll go away and out of the strike zone with that. Tom Brookins now signed as a free agent with the Indians in December of last year. Former Tiger and Yankee. Cracks his back, pushing it down the right side. He'll go back for more lumber. 1-2 count. Tom Brookins, a good man to have on a ball club that's in a pennant race, a contending club. But when you have that veteran player, utility player, really doesn't do much good when he's playing for a next to last place team. Cleveland Indians certainly didn't plan on that. And their biggest disappointment probably is free agent signings would be Keith Hernandez. The highlight for Brookins, of course, that championship season of '84 with the Detroit Tigers. Personal highlight as he's gunned down here was he stole home on Ron Guidry in '86. Back-to-back strikeouts for Stieb have him perhaps in that groove he's been looking for. Yeah, that's a good groove because that was the excellent breaking ball. Good release point. You could see the sharpness in the break of that pitch, and that certainly won't go down as one of Brookins' highlights. Joel Skinner turns away from a pitch inside to him for ball 1. He's acquired for Mel Hall in March of last year from the Yankees.
talk about the position Skinner has been in, backing up the young Sandy Alomar, who probably will win the Rookie of the Year award. He just spot starts. He said his last start was against Clemens. Now here he is this afternoon against Dave Stieb.
Not exactly picking his spots, is it?
Alomar is.
Yeah, he's in control. He's the golfer and Skinner's the caddy. There's no question.
There is Sandy Jr.
Stieb strikes out the drive in the third. Very impressive outing.
First 2 innings, Dave Stieb struggled, but he has gotten it in a groove here in the third.
And we're scoreless through 3 in Cleveland on Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on CTV.
Well, it's been a great weekend for the Blue Jay fan club. About 300 or 400 of them from Toronto and area. I see people from Grimsby, Bowmanville, you name it. People who couldn't get tickets up in Toronto come all the way down to Cleveland to watch their Blue Jays win the first 2 of this 3-game series.
La fans are all here.
In full force. Speaking in full force, watch these 3 strikeout pitches. Breaking ball to Snyder. Good sharp break. Watch the sharpness of that curveball. Joel Skinner fooled on the curve. So 3 breaking pitches and all dandies by Dave Stieb.
1-0 here to Kelly Gruber. Walked in the first inning. Griffin Borders to follow. Foul out behind.
Yeah, I ran into part of that group. I don't know if these 4 or 5 guys were with the Blue Jays fan club group, but 5 guys from Mississauga rode into the ballpark last night with them. I don't know if they made it home, but if they did, they're out here today.
Search party will be out for them. Black flags that down, robbing Gruber of a base hit up the middle. 1 out in the 4th inning. Talk about a groove. Buddy Black's found one too, although he said it threw far more pitches than Stieb since the first inning.
Yeah, I think this demonstrates the quality of these 2 pitchers. I mentioned Dave Stieb had struggled in the first 2, so has Buddy Black, yet the ball game is scoreless, and they're capable of struggling yet still getting hitters out.
Black's now retired 9 straight.
Some pitchers that don't have the ability of a Stieb or a Black struggle. All of a sudden they find themselves in the hole 3 or 4 runs.
Control can be a problem for Black, but has not really been today. He's walked just 1. Starts McGriff off with a strike. The first inning, McGriff fly to center, ending his string of 5 consecutive hits. Underway, San Francisco on the Mets 3-1. That's a key game in terms of the East of the National League. In the second inning, 4-1. The Dodgers lead Montreal at the Big O in the third. Later on, Red Sox and Yankees at 8 p.m. Eastern in Boston. No score here. And just hooking foul. Griff lately has been spraying shots all over this ballpark here in Cleveland. A shift not too effective in this ballpark against Fred McGriff. Here's the 0-2. It's down and away, a ball and 2 strikes. We mentioned the Expos a moment ago against the Dodgers. They'll be going against the Cubs tomorrow. That game will be on CTV tomorrow afternoon, so check for it in your area. Sends it a long way to left. James going back as far as he can. It's gone. Home run number 30 for the big Blue Jays first baseman. That's his first career home run of Buddy Black.
Well, we talked on the opening how Fred McGriff can be a leader by example, and his example right here is the fastball out over the plate, and this is why he has been able to get that average above 300. He doesn't try to pull it. Oddly enough, most of the balls that he pulls are on the ground. That's why the infield plays the shift, but when he goes the other way, he gets the ball in the air.
RBI number 77 now, a 1-0 lead for the Blue Jays. Pat Borders. himself, holding it 0-2.
You know, I had mentioned too earlier that Fred McGriff kind of reminds me of a young Andre Dawson when he was with the Expos, and how he led by the example, because he's quiet by nature, and so is Fred McGriff. And I don't think you can make a quiet man be that vociferous type leader like a Mookie Wilson. It's just not in their character.
Well, in his last 7 at-bats last night and this afternoon, he has 2 home runs, 3 singles, a double, and a very long fly ball to center field. The Indians will be glad to see him get out of town. Borders with a 1-2 count.
And it's nice to see a little renewed excitement on the Blue Jays bench.
Sends that out of play on the upper deck, third base side. 1-0 on a couple of hits for the Blue Jays, looking to sweep the Indians in Cleveland. Almost the same spot. Black now in the 4th inning is up to his 75th pitch pending. It's a lot. Almost souvenir, but long gone down below. This looks like he will oblige and give everybody a second chance.
And the more Black continues to throw him that breaking pitch inside, the more Pat Borders just keep fouling it off.
Despite the fact that he's thrown so many pitches, still nobody up in the Indians bullpen. He must feel, despite the stiffness in his elbow in his last start 12 days ago, Black is all right. It's high, 2-2. Ahead of the Blue Jays series in Detroit, which starts tomorrow. Jimmy Key's going to face Walt Terrell in the opener. Frank Wills versus Frank Tanani in the second game. Another foul ball. And then in the game on CTV Wednesday night, David Wells will go against Clay Parker. Wells trying to rebound a very mediocre effort by his standards here on Friday night. Borders checks his swing, and it's a full count, 3-2. Let it go by. Strikeout number 3 for Black.
So far the strategy, I'm sure this is what Black planned. He's gone 3-2 on a lot of hitters and then just come with his fastball. Tried to get a little movement on it. That time he had the movement away and got the strikeout on Pat Borders.
String of right-handed hitters against him. It's ironic the only left-handed hitter in the lineup. McGriff is the one to burn him with a home run. Hill will try it, but it's going to be foul. Suddenly, balls off the bats of the Blue Jays from Black's pitchers are going quite a distance. Another strike. 0-2.
Good curveball there by Black.
Upstairs, 1-2. Hill struck out in the second inning. Home run by McGriff broke a string of 9 in a row retired by Black, but he starts a new string here, getting Glenn Allen Hill, and he's out of the inning with just the 1 run. But it's enough to give the Jays the lead on Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on CTV. Yeah, a glorious Labor Day weekend to have fun in.
Wait, more bugs.
Oh, those the leftovers from the Sky Dome. All those insects that flew in last week. Alex Cole against Stieb here to start the Cleveland 4th inning. He walked and then got gunned down by Borders trying to steal. It's the 5th time this season Cole has been caught. Stieb struck out Snyder, Brookins, and Skinner in order. There's only 3 strikeouts of the game in the 3rd. 2 strikes.
You really notice the difference in Dave Stieb last inning and this inning compared with the first 2. Getting ahead of the hitters, getting that breaking ball over.
2-2.
That's a pitch you have to try to stay away from if you're a left-handed hitter. It's not easy to do. That sharp biter going down and in. According to third base umpire Tim Welke, Cole did not swing.
He held back that time. The count is full. Third time Stieb has had to go to a full count today. Right at Matty Lee, a generous bounce, and Cole is gone. 1 out here in the Cleveland 4th inning. Jerry Brown, the Indian second baseman now, popped up to the first baseman McGriff in the 1st inning.
Jerry Brown has come alive lately, especially since the All-Star break.
1-1.
Hit .299 last year. He's hit right around 300 since the All-Star break this season to get his average up into the 260s, nearing 270.
Line drive contact hitter. Occasional power. 5 homers last year, couple this season.
Talk about Roseanne Barr. Involved in a San Diego Padre game the other night, and in the San Diego Padre notes, the game notes, they have a notation that the Padres have a record, what their record is since the Roseanne Barr singing of the national anthem.
Hernandez for the second out. Well, has it been a winning record, or like Roseanne with her notes that the Padres gone flat?
Padres have been flat most of the year, Roseanne or not. Again, battling the tough sky. Tony goes back, has the glasses down, never taking his eye off. That's, you know, it appears to be the easy pop-up, but that is anything but easy on this kind of an afternoon.
2 out. The number 3 hitter Dion James played. He grounded out in the 1st inning.
Not only do you look up to try to find the baseball, you see all kinds of other objects coming in. Perhaps someone out of the bullpen.
Or some politician running in somebody else's area in the next election. 0-2. James, we mentioned earlier, does hit Dave Stieb very well. Not this time. That's the 4th strikeout first for David. He's now retired 6 in a row through 4. 1-0 lead over the Indians intact on Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on CTV. Well, the Jays have got a 1-0 lead as they hit on the 5th inning, the bottom third of the order. Shane Williams to start it. Pushes a foul. Williams, Lee, and Felix for Toronto. Griff home run. 1 out on the 4th. The difference in the ball game. Outside from Buddy Black. 1-1.
You know, you can see why Bud Black has been a consistent pitcher over the years. The 17-game winner in 1984, Kansas City, but he has a nice motion. A little bit off in his control today because of the time in between starts, the 12 days. But he's right around there and keeps his ball club in games. He will be well sought after.
Just outside. Fergie's speculation really makes sense when you think about it. He's been so tough on the Jays. They have personal, painful knowledge of the efficiency of Bud Black and would love to have him.
Yeah, if you acquire, the Jays were lucky enough to sign a Bud Black.
Just fair. Williams heading for second base. James up with it. A leadoff double for the Blue Jays center fielder.
Well, Kenny Williams getting an opportunity to be in the ball game as a starter. Gets a little more comfortable with each at bat. Pitch hung out over the plate, and Williams just hangs it down the left field line. Just fair. That padding on the walls here in Cleveland. Played well by Dion James, the left fielder. The point I was trying to make about Bud Black, should the Jays be lucky enough to acquire him. It gives them some flexibility now with left-handed starting pitching. Because you certainly wouldn't go with Wells, Cerruti, Key, and Bud Black. You wouldn't have 4 left-handers in your starting rotation. So it gives you an opportunity to move someone, maybe move somebody in the bullpen, maybe move somebody in a trade.
Manny Lee getting with Williams at second base. Nobody out.
And with a job to
Base
do.
hit down the line. That's going to score the second run easily. Lee's on his way to second. Williams crossing the plate. 2-0 Toronto. Back-to-back doubles to start the 5th inning.
Sometimes by being successful when you have a job to do will enhance you the next time you come up in that situation. Manny Lee just trying to hit the ball the other way to move Williams over to third. Not only does the job, he moves him all the way in to score and picks up a 2-base hit.
He's at second for Junior Felix.
So a job well done by Manny Lee.
This is 36th run batted in. Felix fly to center field in the 3rd.
And Junior, having been in the on-deck circle watching Manny Lee, should go up there with that same thought in mind. He has to do the same thing, but he didn't show it on that last swing. There he goes.
0-2. Well, a reminder again, the Cubs and Expos tomorrow, Labor Day, and Wednesday, Blue Jays and Tigers in Detroit. Check for the times in your area for those 2 ball games coming up on CTV.
Cito Gaston's certainly not trying to look ahead. He wants his game here, but talking about the Tigers with him, they've been a hot ball club. They've been scoring a lot of runs.
The Jays are going to miss Jack Morris. We gave you the pitching rotation earlier. They're going to face Terrell, Tanan, and Parker the way things are set up now. Felix much prefers right-handed pitching. Takes it high from the southpaw Black. 2-2. Center field. Cole makes the play. Lee makes the tag, and he is head first into third.
Well, the Blue Jays being able to execute a little bit here. A nice slide to beat the throw. But Junior Felix, even with 2 strikes, I actually thought he was trying to hit that ball the other way and hit it deep enough into right center field, and that enabled Manny Lee to get over there from second base.
So Felix has the job done with Lee at third, 1 out. Mookie Wilson, the hitter.
Yeah, it does a lot of things. One, it makes it easier to score from third, the obvious, but it brings the infield in. Cleveland now comes in with Mookie Wilson up and 1 down.
Mookie in the last 7 games hitting 200. That's not the whole story for him. He's really been a second-half catalyst again for the Jays. He's got 310 since the All-Star break.
You know, he just shakes his head when people ask him. He just continues to say, I've always been a better second-half ball player.
Fouls it away. I guess for Mookie, spring training doesn't end in March. It continues through April, May, June.
You know, the thing that I remember him telling me that impressed me in spring training, that he works on a lot in the wintertime. Doesn't swing the bat, doesn't really work too much that way. He works constantly on his legs. And I think especially when you get into your early 30s, mid-30s, that's the most important part of a player, and that's what he works on all winter. Just so the legs are in shape by spring training, he feels everything else will fall into place.
High 2-2. You talk to almost any athlete in any sport as they get toward the twilight years of their career, and the thing that concerns them is the legs starting to go. This is the 100th pitch for Bud Black. And and it is a ground ball he will handle easily. Throw out Wilson for the second out and frees Lee at third base.
But with the infield in, that's what Black wanted. Just a chopper somehow in the infield. Wasn't necessarily thinking back to him. It seemed took that little peek to third just to make sure Manny Lee wasn't going, and then recorded the out.
Tony Fernandez is 1 for 2. He singled off Black with 1 out in the first inning. And fly to center in the third. A little bit high on the judgment of Drew Coble. Ball 1.
You know, we've talked about Bud Black, but he has a good battery mate back there, even though Sandy Alomar is not in the lineup. The Indians don't lose much defensively with Joel Skinner back there. He is one of the better defensive catchers in baseball. He lacks some with his offense, but he calls a good game. Pitchers enjoy pitching to him, and he has a strong throwing arm.
John McNamara has seen the Jays come in after Boston swept them for the first time here in 23 years. All Toronto has done is scored 22 runs to this point. The 5th inning of the wind-up game of the series.
Just driving McNamara crazy here. He had a chance, maybe not to get into first place, but to salvage things with the big homestand. The Red Sox and the Jays, they haven't won a game.
It ends today, and they're 0 for 6. Outside, 2-1. Getting back to the speculation about Bud Black, and that's all it really is. Just an opinion. He is 32 in his 8th season of Major League Baseball. He's got a lot of pitching left in him. As is the case today, he can be prone to giving up home runs. He gave up 13 last year in his first 22 appearances, then settled down. Just gave up 1 in his final 11 starts through 77 innings.
Originally started with Seattle. As a draft pick of the Mariners.
And the Royals got him. Now Cleveland. Well, kind of a more productive inning for the Blue Jays with back-to-back doubles to start it, but they'll have to settle for 1 run. Fernandez grounds out, stranding Manny Lee. It is Toronto 2, Cleveland nothing. And the Mets Blue Jays baseball on CTV.
Look at that shadow. That always comes into play here at Cleveland Stadium. Pretty soon it'll creep just in front of the plate area. You know, you think about that. You go up there to hit, and you're standing in the shade, yet you have to peer out into the brightness. A little adjustment for the eyes.
Well, the Indians have not really adjusted very well against Dave Stieb. He takes a no-hitter to the 5th inning against Ken Phelps, Brooke Jacoby, and Carlos Baerga.
Well, Phelps broke up a no-hitter, broke up a perfect game back on April 20th. Brian Holman of the Seattle Mariners. Phelps at that time with Oakland hit a home run, pinch hit home run.
Or Fred McGriff. Play he will make unassisted. 1 out in the Cleveland 5th inning. We'll pause for this word now. Brooke Jacoby next. He flied the left field. His only time up today. Now 7 straight retired by Stieb. The walk to Baerga in the 2nd inning. A ball, a strike to Brooke Jacoby. As I said earlier, looking and feeling more comfortable over at first base all the time. This veteran third baseman making the move. Keith Hernandez may be out for the rest of the year. Virus he's contracted has kept him down.
And Hernandez has had all kinds of problems. Leg problems, now a virus. There was even some talk in the paper today or in Cleveland that the Indians are thinking about just eating the 2nd year of his 2-year guaranteed contract. They don't know what at 37 years of age Hernandez can add to their ball club. The amazing thing, I think we were talking about earlier, one of their biggest flops this year. A lot of people question why a team such as Cleveland would sign a player at his age to a 2-year guaranteed contract.
For the kind of money they were dishing out. $1 million and something. Jacoby is the 5th strikeout victim for Stieb, who gets his 2nd out of the 5th inning.
Well, Dave has it going. We've talked about it after struggling with that release point couple of innings. Now he's throwing it well. That was a pitch. Jacoby actually thought that ball was going to break a little bit more over the plate. Here the term of backup slider. That pitch stayed inside. Jacoby was looking for it to break, and it didn't.
Two base runners were given walks. Cole and this man, Carlos Baerga, they were both erased on throws to second base constantly.
You know, the other thing about Hernandez, he'd been coming off an injury-plagued year his last year with the Mets as well, so it wasn't as if he were coming off a strong season.
Strange move. Must have a great agent. 0-2 to Baerga. Again, McGriff will get the job done. Stieb has a no-hitter through 5. And the Blue Jays have a 2-0 lead over the Cleveland Indians. On the Bats, Blue Jays baseball on CTV. On with Tommy Hutton and Fergie Oliver. This is Don Chevrier with you on a delightful day at Cleveland Stadium. Temperature in the low 80s, light breeze, middle of a long and glorious Labor Day weekend. For the Blue Jays, they're working on a sweep over the Tribe. They lead 2-0. Kelly Gruber into left field. Now James will come over a couple of steps, thinking the ball might never come down. Might join the air show and stay for the afternoon.
As this inning starts, Bud Black, having thrown a lot of pitches, having not thrown in a while, his last start on August 20th. Steve Olin, right-hander, is warming up now for Cleveland. So if he gets in any kind of trouble early in this inning, I'm sure John McNamara will make the move. And this might be his last inning anyway, even if he breezes through.
Yeah, he's thrown 107 pitches, so the count is getting up there for his first start back. But he remains effective. He gets Fred McGriff to ground out, the guy who homered off him last time. Again, Borders in the left field for James. Very quickly, Black gets out of that inning. The Blue Jays 6. But the Jays still hold the edge 2-0 on the Bats Blue Jays baseball and CTV.
We talked about Bud Black last inning going out there with Steve Olin warming up. Now, only threw 3 pitches, but he hung a pitch to Kelly Gruber that he just missed. A long fly ball to Pat Borders hit was a hanging breaking ball. Now, I think Black's going to stay out there and work. But I'm surprised. I think this is a time where John McNamara has to say, okay, you've given me enough, 6 good innings, and then go to his bullpen.
Now Dave Stieb takes his no-hit game into the 6th inning for the bottom third of the order. Corey Snyder, Tom Brookins, and Joel Skinner with a strike to Snyder. He's fanned 5 along the way. Corey was one of those back in the 3rd inning. He's 2 strikes to him here.
Yeah, he has really set a good pattern. There's that backup slider. That ball came inside to Corey Snyder. Number 1, he was surprised with the pitch. Number 2, he was surprised it was a called strike.
Again, defense gave him a big boost. The only 2 to get on were erased on stolen base attempts. He strikes out Snyder there. That's half a dozen. 10 in a row retired by Steve.
It's a pitch Snyder's been looking for. It's a frustration of a hitter after he has a pitch called on him that he's not sure it was a strike. He thinks it was a bad call. Now he strikes out on a fastball. It was a pretty good pitch to hit. But who does he blame? He turns around and blames home plate umpire Drew Coble for putting him in that 0-2 hole and not being ready for that fastball.
Got to blame somebody, huh? Brookins takes strike 1. Steve is really on top of his game right now.
Jumping ahead of every hitter.
Working quickly as he likes to do. Just missed a little high, 1-1. You look at him, he's got that obvious confidence now. He can throw every pitch for strikes.
You know, and as you well know, everybody that has watched him over the years, ever the perfectionist. And in talking to him before the game, mentioned that, well, in the ball game you had against the Red Sox, pretty good. Nah, I didn't throw well in that one. I've really been struggling with this release point. Well, he's not struggling with it only for the first couple of innings today.
Blue Jay fans numbering in the thousands here in Cleveland this afternoon, cheering Stieb now with every pitch as he works the 2-2 to Brookins. And Brookins just did hold back to run it full. Cole walked to start the game. Baerga walked in the second with 2 out. Both caught stealing by Borders. And here, a strikeout for Brookins, number 7 for Stieb. Well, the Jays have never had a no-hitter. They've had 11 one-hitters, and believe me, this ballpark owes Dave Stieb a no-hit game. One of his one-hitters, perhaps the most heartbreaking, came here at a bad hop at second base. Ball that should have been a routine out for the final out of the game, and the no-hitter hopped into right field instead. September 24th, '88. The second baseman that day, Julio Franco, just shook his head and said he couldn't believe it. He got the hit off. Strike one to Joel Skinner.
The other interesting thing about the Blue Jays pitching, they've had 7 shutouts. 6 of those shutouts this year have been combined. Dave Stieb with the only shutout, 9 innings.
They're waving at almost everything he throws now. A weak strike there by Joel Skinner.
So far, the bottom third of the order, Snyder, Brookins, and Skinner, are 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts. And if Stieb makes the pitch he wants, it'll be 0 for 6.
1-2.
Good pitch, though. See Pat Borders move outside, wanted the fastball right there off the plate. See if Skinner would chase it. Dave put it right in his mitt.
He has struck out the side for the second inning in this game. He did it also in the third. He runs his K total to 8 as the Indians' frustration mounts and Stieb's confidence builds. 2-0 Toronto. I'm Labatt, Blue Jays baseball on CTV.
Difference in pattern here by Dave Stieb to strike out the side. He gets Corey Snyder with the fastball and then goes back to that hard breaking pitch to next retire Tom Brookins. The next victim was Joel Skinner.
Glenn Allen Hill here. Jacoby off the bag. Brookins at third base did well just to get to the ball. Never mind the throw, and Hill gets a single.
The center fielder, number 12.
Nice play by Brookins, 37-year-old veteran, but a base hit all the way by Glenn Allen. Even though the ball was knocked down by Tom Brookins, Glenn Allen had it beaten easily.
Blair now, the right-hander, is back from Syracuse. The left-hander John Cerruti, the veteran, are throwing just in case. Mr. Stieb showing no signs of weakness.
I think just throwing just to get some work.
Obviously, yeah. Ken Williams. Now the second goes Hill as the ball escapes the grasp of Skinner.
Keep in mind, we talked about that last inning for Bud Black, how he had such an easy inning, even though John McNamara was thinking about taking him out. Here he uncorks a breaking ball that gets away from Skinner. He retired the side last inning.
Tommy, the reason
3
why.
pitches, now he's back out.
Yeah, the reason why I think he's left Black in is because the bullpen has been getting killed lately. So he's going to let Black go as long as he possibly can.
A sound move in terms of the team, view of the situation, but not in terms of Buddy Black. That's a wild pitch charge too, by the way.
Yeah, Olin is back up. You know, the bullpen's been getting killed, but so are the starters. In their 6-game losing streak, the starters have an earned run average of over 7. So I think McNamara is also just pleased to see a starter go out there and throw the ball well. So as Blue Jays, this is when you need to take advantage and try to jump on Black right here, at least get one more run.
He sprays it right, and a souvenir again for this crowd.
We've seen Kenny Williams on occasion try to bunt and drop down bunts. Again, a situation for the Jays where a hitter's trying to move that runner from second to third. Williams probably more proficient at bunting than he is at swinging and sending the ball that way.
2 balls and a strike. Mayorga just gets it over to third. Hill with one out now.
Kenny Williams does the job. Even though the ball isn't to the right side, the ball is behind the runner. And when you get a good jump from second base, that ball being hit up the middle the way it was, you can just dance over, walk over to third easily. So Ken Williams does the job. And again, the Blue Jays have a chance. Mookie Wilson had an opportunity to pick up that runner from third with less than 2 out. Couldn't do it.
Now Manny Lee has the opportunity. He drove home Williams with the Blue Jays' second run of the 5th inning after the Griff's homer in the 4th made it 1-0. There's the battery that has performed so well today. Stieb with a no-hitter, and Borders taking care of the only 2 runners that Stieb allowed by throwing them out at second base. So indeed, thanks to Borders' work, Stieb has faced the minimum. 18 hitters through 6 innings. One and one to lead.
This is that situation as a hitter with the infield in, the runner at third, less than 2 out. You have to look for a pitch in a certain zone, a pitch that you can drive into the outfield and pick up a sacrifice fly and get that run in.
Ball 2. 2-1. No mistake, Black, first game back in 12-13 days, has pitched well enough to win. 5 hits, 2 runs. Dave Stieb has just been that much better. He'll take the lead grounder for the 2nd out.
Second time in that situation that Bud Black has gotten the hitter to hit the little tapper back to him. He's made the hitter hit his pitch. Mookie Wilson hit one back to the mound in the 5th inning. And so even though Black has thrown a lot of pitches, he runs that slider in on the hands. About the best thing that Manny Lee can do with it, just tap it back to the mound. So Black does his job right there.
He's coming up on 120 pitches now as he'll face Junior Felix.
These are those situations that hurt. Even though the Jays lead 2-0, they've had a couple of chances already. It could be a 4-0 lead.
Hot hand holds, the 2 would be enough, surely, but you never know. It cut by Felix for strike 2. He's in the hole 0-2. One ball and 2 strikes. Comfortable and ready in. I don't know if Holden's ready or no longer needed for the time being. He stopped throwing in the Cleveland 10th. Now Black wants to communicate with Skinner on the signals.
Well, once he's ahead in the count, the way he is, 1-2 to Junior Felix, but Black wants to make sure that he and Skinner are on the same wavelength to make the right pitch, get out of the inning.
His 5th strikeout. Blue Jays waste the base hit by Hill. Strand him at third base. Dave Stieb gets set to go back to work on his no-hitter on the bats. Blue Jays baseball on CTV. Well, Dave Stieb will work till the 7th inning. His no-hitter intact at the top of the Cleveland order. He has walked just 2. Cole got one of those walks to start the game. Mayorga the other. They were both erased on attempted steals. Since the walk to Baerga, he has retired an even dozen in succession.
You can tell what he has working for him. Just one fly ball out to the outfield.
That is ball one. He's within one strikeout of his season high 9. His career high is 12 against the Chicago White Sox. August 22nd, 88. 1-1 to Alex Cole.
These are the types of hitters that put pressure on a pitcher and the infield when a no-hitter's being pitched, because you know as an infielder that Cole's going to get down the line quickly and you're going to have to hurry with the play.
Strike 2. Olin has completed his mission down in the bullpen for the Indians, and Jesse Orozco is up. Pitch misses down and in. 2-2. Balls and 2 strikes for Cole. Just gets a piece.
I tell you what, that sharp breaking ball this afternoon, Dave Stieb, has really been in on the hands to all the left-handed hitters, and then occasionally away with a fastball, but most of the time he has been busting everything inside to the lefties.
He misses 3-2. Hernandez. 1 gone, 13 in a row, retired by Stieb. Well, Wednesday night, there's more Advanced Blue Jays baseball right here in CTV when the Jays conclude their trip against one of the greatest all-time rivals, the Tigers in Detroit. Should be a good one Wednesday night right here on CTV.
Tigers lead the American League in runs scored. Notice on that 3-2 pitch, Dave just decided to go with the fastball, and he did. Made Cole make the out.
He had to play left side, the bat of Jerry Brown. He's popped up twice to first and short.
This is really a key inning. You don't know if these things go through pitchers' minds, but these 3 hitters.
That area where he got that bad bounce in 88, but it was kind to Manny Lee and Stieb there for the second out.
Yeah, after what happened in 88, you don't want to say a routine ground ball to second base. But talking about the 3 top hitters, left-handers, guys with speed, guys who can flare a ball. Once Dave gets through that part, now he has some bigger hitters that are more susceptible to the strikeout. Not to say it's going to be any easier, but different type hitters.
Dion James, the hitter now with 2 out, has hit well against Stieb, but has gone 0 for 2 today. He's grounded out and struck out. He lifts that into right center field. But Ken Williams is there. Stieb has gone through 7 with his no-hit game intact. Stay with us on Advanced Blue Jays baseball on CTV. Here is the ex-Met and Dodger Jesse Orozco to pick it up finally for tired Buddy Black. He threw over 120 pitches this afternoon. Orozco appeared on Friday and yielded the Junior Felix monstrous home run into center field.
Well, Jesse Orozco now in his 2nd year as a member of the Cleveland Indians. They signed him back in 1988. And again, we talked about Mookie Wilson feeling comfortable with the jets above. There's the air show on the lake. Jesse very comfortable out there. Went through that same problem at Shea Stadium, and probably his best moments as a pitcher in 1986 when he was a member of that world champion New York Met team.
You know, the U.S. Tennis Open is on right now, and that really drives the tennis players crazy. They apparently have changed the flight patterns now, so that's not as much of a problem as it always has been.
Jesse Orozco with a fastball and a good hard breaking pitch. Mainly 2-pitch pitcher.
Look at this.
speaking of Mookie Wilson, former Met teammates going at it right here.
Roscoe to Wilson. Fernandez and Gruber to follow in the Blue Jay 8th. The 2-0 lead and a no-hitter. It works for Dave Stieb. He pops it up. Skinner back near the screen. Now has to back off, but he has it.
Talk about outfielders and infielders battling. They have the opportunity to wear the glasses. The catcher doesn't. Even though Skinner was standing in the shade, he had to look up into that bright sky. Still was able to make the catch.
Well, the Yankees can still be tough. Well, they haven't shown that against the Red Sox this weekend, losing 15-1 yesterday. It'll be in September as Orozco throws one away.
About to start. Poor Andy Hawkins was the pitcher who got blasted in that ball game against Boston yesterday at Fenway.
Gave up an inside the park home run when a shot out into right field caught Jesse Barfield with a pulled muscle. He couldn't recover, couldn't get to the ball to make a play on it.
Andy Hawkins has had 3 starts at Fenway Park, has totaled 1 inning in the 3 starts, 13 hits and 18 runs.
Will not be willing to go to Boston for his postseason vacation.
He will not even make the trip next year, wherever he is.
A ball and 2 strikes to Fernandez, heading with 1 gone on the Blue Jay 8th inning. And he's upstairs 2-2. The heart, such as it is, of the Cleveland order awaits Stieb in the 8th inning. Phelps, Jacoby, and Baerga. And then in the bottom third, Snyder, Brookins, and Skinner to accomplish his dream this afternoon.
And then keep in mind, of the bench players, even though some are regulars, the only left-hander would be switch hitter, Mitch Webster.
Single for Fernandez with 1 out. Tony has gone 2 for 4 this afternoon.
Tony took a big turn at first base after driving this ball hard into the outfield. He wanted to put a little pressure on Alex Cole, but Cole came up, fired it in quickly because of the big turn. Baerga saw it, flipped it over to first, see if he could catch Tony going back.
So he's there for Kelly Gruber, who walked in the first inning but hasn't been able to pick up on his success of last night, his home run and double. He's grounded out and flat out since the walk. Roscoe, soft toss to Jacoby. According to Dave Stieb, but he might appreciate the extra run or 2. He wouldn't mind if this inning ends quickly. He can get right back to work. Blue Jays banter on many of these CTV stations. Check for it where you live. As the Jays complete their road trip through Cleveland and Detroit and head back for the White Sox in the Sky Dome. In collision with Fernandez down.
That's the type of move Orozco can throw. He has a couple of different moves. The one where he comes set and lifts his leg and goes to first. The other, they step off and snap throw. That time the snap throw, Jacoby got to it. Only able to get back.
Gave him a forearm in the ribs. Cleveland lakefront this afternoon, and here at the stadium, 23,640 strong. 1-2 to Gruber.
Orozco, as a left-hander, basically pitches the way Dave Stieb does to left-handed hitters. Orozco doing it to the right-handers. That big breaking ball, tries to run it inside, and then he'll utilize his fastball, working it in and out.
He struck out 4 in his 2 in the 3rd innings of Friday night against the Jays, but did give up the Junior Felix home run. Didn't walk anybody. Way outside. It's 2-2.
Talk about Joel Skinner and his ability to throw. Just keeping Fernandez honest. Joel with that snap throw.
There goes Fernandez. And here's the throw from Skinner. Plenty of time to get Tony. 2 gone. Not a good day for base stealers this afternoon.
No, it hasn't been. The strong arm of Skinner. Look at that throw. Something on it. No chance for Tony Fernandez. In his limited time, Joel Skinner now has tossed out 8 of 17.
And Gruber strikes out. Just like that, the inning is over. Focus squarely on Dave Stieb. Phelps, Jacoby, and Baerga scheduled to face them in the Cleveland 8th on the Bats Blue Jays baseball on CTV. It is no longer just a question of Dave Stieb looking for a 17th victory. He has another opportunity for a no-hitter. And in the 8th inning, Ken Phelps, Brooke Jacoby, and Carlos Baerga, the Indians, scheduled to try to disrupt that.
We talked earlier about Dave's longest outing this year, that shutout back on May 28th against the Oakland Athletics. Also mentioned earlier that Ken Phelps broke up a no-hitter earlier in the season.
Hasn't done much since.
That was his last and only home run this year. A home run against Brian Holman, not only to break up the no-hitter, the perfect game, but the shutout.
Bays popped up, and he is grounded out. Ball 1.
What Dave has been able to do with that breaking pitch today is really tie up the left-handed hitters. None of them have been able to get the arms extended and get anything on the ball.
1-1.
That pitch he left out in a dangerous area. Phelps had a pretty good rip.
9 no-hitters in history thrown against the Indians. Len Barker threw a perfect game against the Blue Jays in this park on May 15th in '81. Foul ball, 1-2.
Phelps has had a couple of decent rips on those last 2 pitches. The one breaking ball out over the plate. That last one a little more on the inner half, but still a good swing by the veteran.
But it means he's now behind on the count, so advantage Stieb.
See the concentration of Stieb. He's not bothered at all by those F-15s. Phelps stepped out. Stieb was ready to go.
He's flying higher than they are. 2-2. A full count.
That one he tried to overthrow a little bit.
Sixth time he's gone to a full count.
The other thing you think about, a runner gets on base, the Indians bring the tying run to the plate.
Phelps will. The 3rd walk issued by Stieb.
Time first baseman number 46.
As you say, yes, a no-hitter is still going, but the ball game far from decided as Jacoby brings the tying run to the plate. As Stieb will make his 100th pitch to Jacoby into center field. There's a lot of room out there for Ken Williams. 1 out.
Hey, you tend to forget also about the 2 opportunities that the Blue Jays had, successfully getting the runner from second to third, but unsuccessfully getting that runner in with less than 2 out. So instead of a 4-0 lead, it's 2-0, and the Indians, by getting that run on, as I mentioned, get the tying run to the plate.
Yeah, they had 2 chances of that, didn't do it. They've left 4 in the afternoon. Carlos Baerga, he walked, got a race, trying to steal, and then grounded out to McGriff in the 5th inning. Strike 1.
The other thing that hurts with that runner at first base, Baerga up there has that hole on the right side because McGriff holding Phelps, but now Freddie's going to move behind because Phelps is not a steal threat. Fred goes behind to try to fill that hole up a little bit.
Yeah, it may cut down the distraction factor a little bit. Stieb not worrying about him too much. That is in left field. Hill giving chase near the line, and he takes the ball for the second out. Stieb now is 4 outs away from a no-hitter. And the hitter is Corey Snyder, who was struck out twice. In fact, the bottom third of the order, Snyder, Brookins, and Skinner, has each fanned twice this afternoon.
Snyder still talking with home plate umpire Drew Coble. Remember the second strike to Snyder's last time up, he questioned the call of Coble and then struck out swinging on the next pitch and still looked back at the ump. So he hasn't forgotten about it.
May not get him any new consideration here either.
The only way you're going to help yourself is if you go up there and say, yeah, I saw the replay. They told me it was a pretty good pitch.
You were right.
Try to get him back on your side.
I don't think he did that. Snyder sends it up in the left field, but well within range of Hill, coming in for the ball and taking it. Stieb takes another no-hit bid to the 9th inning here in Cleveland. Don't go away. We'll get right back to you on the Mats Blue Jays baseball on CTV. McGriff ducks away from ball 1. He homered in the 4th, 1 for 3. It was his 30th of the year. Roscoe continues to work for the Indians behind McGriff 2-0.
I think a lot of players could learn something last night watching Fred McGriff hit against the knuckleball pitcher Tom Candiotti. He has a good approach to that type of pitcher.
3-0.
Obviously, it's more comfortable to Fred because he normally has the spread out stance, but there are some hitters who against a knuckleball pitcher will spread out a little bit further than they normally do. Cut down a little bit on the stride.
Three and 1 to McGriff. Obviously, green light flashing in his eyes. Center, very deep and well out of here. 31 on the year, 2 for the day. McGriff strikes again. 3-0 Toronto.
Cito Gaston gave the green light all the way to Fred. He had a 3-0 because he knew against the left-hander he'd have a chance to see some fastballs from Orozco once Orozco fell behind. Watch his power by Fred McGriff. Leaning back, not coming up too much with the upper body, and good extension. He knew all the way that that one was gone.
And so is Orozco.
So it will be Steve Olin, who was warming up earlier, coming into the game.
Right-hander, third pitcher of the afternoon for McNamara's Indians. Olin called up last July for the end of the season, the end of July, after getting 23 saves, leading the Pacific Coast League in Colorado. Well, we have had several of those starts this afternoon, 8 of them as a matter of fact for Dave Stieb.
Yeah, 8 times we've been able to put that K down there and going to get back to Freddie McGriff as Dave Stieb just sits there and thinks. No one's going to talk to him right now. But Freddie, with that home run, the way he has performed over the last couple of months of the season, he hasn't gotten a lot of help, especially the last week or so, from Kelly Gruber. George Bell's been out of the lineup. A lot of clubs have been pitching around him. If you remember in that Boston series, they did not want to be hurt by Fred McGriff. They pitched around him a lot.
Pat Borders drives a shot at the gap. Coming over to cut it off is Dion James. He can't handle the ball. Borders hesitates, then will head for second base safely. They'll probably give James an error. Borders stopping content with a single. When James had trouble with the ball, he took one more base.
Yeah, Pat was really content, and I question his thought there because the ball was into the gap, because James is a left-handed thrower, had to backhand that ball. Pat was really content with the single, and once he saw the ball bobbled, instead of taking that big aggressive turn, once he saw it bobbled, then he took off for second.
That's how they scored. Single and an error to the left fielder on the extra base. So he's the second, nobody out for Glenn Allen Hill. Jays lead 3-0. Sidearm Roland gets it right back to the throw out Hill, but over to third goes Borders. For the third time today with one out, the Jays have a runner at third base. Well, reminder again that the Expos and Cubs hook up on Labatt's Expos baseball tomorrow afternoon on the holiday. So check for the start time in your area. It's a 1:30 Eastern start.
That's great to see the execution so far, at least on the front end of this play. 3 times, as you mentioned, the Jays have been able to move that runner from second to third.
And Williams, today's center fielder, takes it high. Ball 1. Nolan doesn't walk that many. He's walked just 18 while striking out 45 in about 64 innings of work.
Normally, Cito Gaston might make a move here to bring on a left-hander to try to get this run, but I think Cito wants to keep his best defensive club in the lineup.
Knocked down by Baerga, and he takes care of Kenny Williams. 2 outs. So again, the Jays fail to capitalize with a fly ball at least to score a man with 1 out from third.
Ball hit hard by Kenny, but a good play by Baerga. And what Cito's thinking, he's thinking ahead, and he knows that by leaving Kenny Williams in the lineup, even though he almost comes through and picks up the RBI here, if not for Baerga, by leaving Williams in the lineup, he has a good defensive outfield with Hill, Williams, and in right field, Junior Felix. So some good speed out there.
This is Manny Lee. He drove in the Jays' second run with a double in the 5th inning on the heels of the 2-base hit by Williams. Olin 1-0 to Lee. Orders at third, 2 out. 2-0. Looking ahead to the Cleveland ninth. Scheduled the 8, 9, 1 hitters. Tom Brookins, Joel Skinner, and Alex Cole. 2-1 to Manny Lee.
Your tendency against a pitcher such as Steve Olin, who throws that sinking fastball, is to pull off. That's what Manny Lee has done the last 2 times.
He will send Steve back to work in search for him. A lifetime elusive no-hit game. The Blue Jays have never had one. Will this be the day? Stay with us on Labatt's Blue Jays Baseball and CTV. Well, Dave Stieb has had it all going this afternoon. He has issued just 3 walks. 2 of those were a race trying to steal. Ken Phelps left in the 8th inning, having walked the lead off. He's going to face some new people, though, because John McNamara had most of his starters, his regulars on the bench. He could use them to pinch hit here in the 9th inning. Yeah,
he's going to have Chris James and Candy Maldonado to face this inning. James will probably go up and hit first for Tom Brookins. But Dave Stieb, you go back to those first 2 innings. He walked the leadoff man. Alex Cole was thrown out by Pat Borders. And then with 2 out in the 2nd inning, he was upset with himself when he walked Carlos Baerga. But again, he was helped out by Borders as Baerga was caught trying to steal.
8th this year. Mulholland, the most recent with the Phillies a couple of weeks ago. We had the good fortune to televise one of those from the Sky Dome, and Dave Stewart no-hit the Jays. Can Dave Stieb do it this afternoon for the 9th of 1990? It is the 4th time in his magnificent career that Stieb has taken a no-hitter into the 9th inning. The 2nd time here in Cleveland. Chris James hitting for Tom Brookins. Ball one.
And James, normally the everyday player, a 300 hitter.
A ball and a strike to him. Stieb has struck out 8. None since the 6th inning when he fanned the side. He's done that twice today. Strike 2.
Great one-on-one confrontations. You know what's going through Stieb's mind. He knows the position he's in. The hitters coming off the bench, they're fresh. They've been watching him the entire game.
James gets a piece, holding it 1-2.
And through it all, think about the thoughts going through Pat Borders' head. He's never handled a no-hitter in the major leagues. So a lot of pressure on that man right there as well.
No Blue Jay catcher ever has. High 2-2. Last inning or so, and Dave has missed, it has been on the high side. In fact, getting higher and higher as he goes along. James into left field. Tracking over is Glenn Allen Hill. There is room. There's the out. One gone. The last 3 outs have been by Hill, and here are the no-hitters of 1990.
I think a lot of people remember the Nolan Ryan. Melito Perez's was a shortened no-hitter, a rain-shortened game. You know, I look back at this ball game, and there really hasn't been a tough play. Most of the 8 strikeouts, most of the outs have been routine variety.
Here is the power of Candy Maldonado, a 76 RBI man for the Indians. He takes a wild swing at strike 1. Maldonado hitting for the catcher Joel Skinner. 3-0 Cleveland, or 3-0 Toronto in Cleveland, up with the face of Maldonado. 1-1.
You're just excited too.
It really is exciting. You don't get this opportunity.
You do not.
Very often. It is ball 2.
Dave still hitting spot, so Borders outside. Wanted the pitch there. Dave gave it to him. See Pat saying keep it down.
And he chops it foul to go 2-2.
That's good to see Pat Borders back there taking charge in that manner. He's into this too. He's motioning to Dave, who you pointed out has had a few pitches up. And he said keep that ball down.
Borders has become a very, very good catcher.
Pressure on everybody. The defense, the infielders, the outfielders. The outfielders don't want to not pick up a ball, hit their direction, and misplay it. The infielders want to handle ground balls.
There is pressure on everybody in Blue Jay colors right here. He's an out away. Maldonado on the 113th pitch thrown by Stieb becomes the second out. Way up at his face, he swings through it.
Not exactly where Dave wanted it because Pat had set up outside, but he ran the fastball up and in and got Maldonado to chase it.
So for the 4th time, he takes it to this stage. 2 out in the 9th inning for the 2nd time here in Cleveland. Alex Cole, the scheduled hitter from center field, will face him. He is twice grounded out, and he is walked today. And Stieb starts him with ball 1.
And you have to be alive for a bunt because he has tremendous speed.
He showed bunt on the 2nd pitch the last time he was up, and then pulled back with it. Ball 2. He's walked 3 this afternoon. Cole was one of them to start the ball game. 2 have been erased, caught stealing. of the day. Brown is 0 for 3. He's popped up twice and grounded out.
Fortunately, the Blue Jays have enough of a lead. We talked about it before with Phelps at first base. Now Cole is at first, a speedster. But Fred McGriff, because the Jays have a 3-0 lead, is going to play back to fill up that hole with the lefty up there.
Ball 1. Stieb, in search of control at this critical juncture, has thrown 5 balls in a row. 26 behind him. He needs 1 more out. Strike 1, 1-1. Easily over to second base goes Cole. Nobody paying attention to him, but his run alone doesn't matter in this game. Jays lead 3-0. Into right field. He has got a no-hitter for Dave Stieb. The long frustration is finally over. The first in Toronto Blue Jay history recorded here in Cleveland this afternoon. Perhaps now, and only now, Tommy Hutton, Dave Stieb can forget about Roberto Kelly. He can forget about Julio Franco here in Cleveland. He can forget about all those ninth-inning nightmares because the dream has finally been achieved.
There certainly isn't a more deserving pitcher in the major leagues because he's been so close so many times to finally get the no-hitter.
Here's Fergie with Dave Stieb.
Well, I'll tell you, it is about time, partner.
I still don't believe it, Fergie. I'm numb right now. I just can't believe that ball went to him.
You've been in that situation 3 times before in your career. So what thoughts were going through your mind?
Well, I was thinking about getting it, of course, but I remember sitting here last time thinking the same thing, and I didn't want to jinx myself, but I'd already thought about it, so that was that, and I just kept going at it like it was the 9th inning. I thought about that in the 7th, and I went out there like it was the 9th. I did the same thing in the 8th, and in the 9th inning, I didn't want to make any bad pitches and let him beat me on that, so I was very careful with Cole there, and luckily, last guy hit the ball right to the right fielder.
Dave, I thought that Cole was your toughest out in the ball game. It seemed to me you pitched him a little more carefully than the others, did you?
Yeah, I did. I was concerned about him before I went out for the 9th inning. You know, he takes a lot of pitches. If I got behind him, then I'd have to give in to him. And, you know, it's a good shot at getting a fastball and getting a base hit. But, you know, I walked him, and I got the next guy out.
It's almost as if you played it the right way by walking Cole.
Yeah, it turned out that way.
It sure enough did. Okay, let's talk about, you know, the night here in Cleveland with the Franco getting the hit off and all those things in the past. You're looking at 20 games this year. I mean, this is Dave Stieb's year. There's no question about it.
Well, I don't know about all that, Fergie. Right now I'm looking at number 18 personally. You know, it's been a great year. I've had some good play behind me, and they've scored some runs for me, and I've had a good bullpen behind me. And, you know, I'd like to go out there and pitch a few more innings than I have, but you know, that's just the way the season's gone for me.
What about that shot that Phelps ripped foul off you? That was close.
Yeah, it was very close. You know.
What did you throw him?
think it was a breaking ball slider in, but I didn't get it in far enough, obviously. But you know, he was looking for something in. That's why he hit it foul.
And you were pitching into hitters all day long, it looked like, and getting ahead on the count.
Not from the get-go, I wasn't. I was behind a lot of hitters, and they swung at some bad pitches for me, and I was able to get a few strikeouts that way. But I was struggling early on, and luckily it didn't get to me, and I was able to work things out.
It was interesting. Tommy Hutton had a conversation with you in the clubhouse before the game, and you were telling him that your biggest concern here this afternoon was your release point.
Yeah, that's what I was working on in the beginning of the game. I was struggling with my release point and, you know, trying to throw pitches inside and get the breaking balls inside on left-handers. I've been struggling with that, and that's one thing that I wanted to go out there and concentrate on tonight, but I wasn't really doing it right off the bat. That's why I was struggling so much. But like I said, they swung at some bad pitches, and I stayed out of trouble because of that, and I was able to work out of it.
Dave, you've had a sensational career with Toronto. This is a moment you'll never, ever forget.
That's right, Fergie, I won't.
And you've had 5 cracks at it. You got it.
That many? Oh, geez.
All right. Well, you got a lot of other reporters. Look at the crowd here behind you. All these Toronto fans here. Look at them. The fan club, it's sensational.